Have you ever wondered what some of the most well-known Bible accounts are really pointing us toward? Stories like Daniel and the lion's den or the fiery furnace, maybe the writing on the wall that we read about in Daniel. These are more than just Sunday school lessons that we grow up with because they paint a bigger picture that shows God's faithfulness, his sovereignty over the nations, and his relentless love for his people. I'm Pastor Ryan. This is Bible in a Year, and today we're going to cover the book of Daniel and Hosea. I'm going to walk you through what to watch for as you read these two books this week. I want us to really pay attention to the supernatural as well and read through that lens. Now, if this journey through the Bible this year has helped you in any way, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, share with a friend, and let's dive into the first half of the book of Daniel. These opening chapters 1 through 6, we're going to read a lot of accounts that you probably have heard of or you know. Daniel and his friends refusing to eat certain foods, the fiery furnace, the writing on the wall, the lion's den. I mean, these are powerful accounts of God's protection and his faithfulness when his people stood firm while in exile. And the key point I want us to understand as we read these chapters is this, that God is faithful in exile, and he calls his people to live faithfully, even in a culture that does not honor him. But Daniel's story doesn't stop there. We're going to shift now to chapters 7 through 12, these visions that Daniel has of the future. He receives visions that show us these world empires that are going to spring up, the prophecy of the Antichrist to come, the 70 weeks prophecy. I mean, we're going to get into the tribulation, even glimpses that we see archangels at work in the spiritual realm. It's all there. And these chapters pull back the curtain, so to speak, to show how God rules over history and where it's all heading to. So in a moment, we're going to go a little deeper in that with the supernatural worldview. But just as you read those chapters, keep those things in mind. And while Daniel lifts our eyes to God's eternal reign, what the book of Hosea does is it brings us face to face with God's covenantal love. Hosea's life became this living message. God told him actually to marry Gomer, a woman who was a prostitute, would be unfaithful to him. And this was to serve as a living picture of Israel's unfaithfulness to God. Yet Hosea's continued pursuit of her revealed that God has this relentless love for his people. And as you read along, you're going to see strong warnings of judgment, yes, but also some of the most tender promises of restoration. Hosea reminds us that God's covenantal love is stronger than our sin and that he always desires to have his people brought back to himself. It's a steadfast covenantal love that points us forward to Christ's love for his church. Before we close, let's go back to the visions that Daniel had in chapters 7 through 12 for a moment and see how to read them from a supernatural lens. Or I could say it this way, how to read these chapters in Daniel through heaven's lens. In chapter 7, we see the heavenly court, what scholars would call the divine council. And this passage here shows us that real decisions in life aren't made by kings or empires like we think, but God in his sovereignty is leading these through. We're going to see moments of the beast, the empires, the coming judgment, end times. They're flowing together here that give us a reality that shapes our future here. And as you read through these visions, there's a practical takeaway here. Don't just focus on the beasts or the dates, trying to figure these things out. Focus on the throne. God is showing us no matter how chaotic this world appears, his sovereignty is supreme and his kingdom will endure forever. If you want to dive deeper on these things, I've got some links here in the description below that are going to give you some more resources to study along. So how do we live this out for our life now? Well, like Daniel, we can remain faithful in exile in the seasons of lows, not just the highs. Like Hosea, we can remember that God's love never ends and he's continually pursuing us. The visions of Daniel, they cause us, and they should cause us to lift our eyes, to focus on God's throne, not be overwhelmed by the news and what we think is the reality of today. Do you have any questions about what we're reading? Do you have any questions from this video? Do you have some things that God is speaking to you in your life as you read the Bible this year? Write them in the comments below. I want to create community as we're going along in this, and I pray that God blesses you as you read this week, and may his favor shine upon you each and every day.